Hey guys, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, it's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Email me your questions, Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I'll keep you anonymous. I'm also on every social network you can think of. So today's question, it's going to be a quick video, right? I had some questions. Can you explain the process for an initial study startup? Like what documents and binders are created? And what binders should be updated from a clinical research coordinator aspect. So when it comes to startup, you're going to get a regulatory packet. If you're using a central IRB, you're going to get a regulatory packet from the sponsor or the CRO. And as a matter of fact, if you're using a local IRB, you'll still get the regulatory packet. But because your IRB is different, the IRB aspect, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, is going to be handled differently. So central IRB is definitely easier if you have the option. So you'll get a regulatory packet. That will consist of informed consent template if you're a central IRB, again. If you're a local IRB, you'll get a template, but it has to be approved by your local IRB. If you're a central IRB, you'll get a template where you update your phone number, your address, PI name, emergency hours, phone number, and the IRB has already approved the script. So you'll get that. You'll get a 1572, which is usually not pre-populated, meaning the sponsor did not put investigator name, address, sub-investigators on there. Sometimes you'll have the protocol title on the box. I believe it's box 5. So you'll get the 1572 that you'll have to complete. You'll get financial disclosure forms for your PI and for your sub-investigators. Again, you'll have to put in their names, your site name, and then they'll have to check one of the boxes that applies to them. You'll have to get the IRB questionnaire. So the IRB wants to know a little bit more about your site, a little bit more about your PI, how much staff you have to dedicate to this trial. So again, if you're using a central IRB, it's relatively easy. It's usually like a 10 to 12 page document that the IRB is just asking you different questions. Have you ever been audited by the FDA? Has a study participant ever sued you? Things like that. I'm trying to think what else. You'll get the investigator's brochure. You'll get the protocol. You'll get the protocol receipt and acknowledgement letter. You'll also get the IRB acknowledgement letter that the PI needs to sign and state that he or she has read those things and is familiar with the protocol and the investigator brochure. So you can get away with just one binder as your regulatory binder. What causes these regulatory binders to get full is the safety reports as the study's ongoing. So as the study's ongoing, you may start with like a pretty thin binder, and as you start getting these safety reports from your IRB or from the sponsor, you have to file those in there. You also file any other correspondence between you and the sponsor or you and the CRO in the reg binder. Another thing in the reg binder is the delegation of duties log. So it's very important that the PI goes through and lists every single staff member that will be associated with the trial, and then they all have the initial and date after their responsibilities are put on the delegation of duties log. So that also goes in the reg binder. So that's kind of what you have to deal with when it comes to study startup. And if you're the coordinator, lucky you will get the fun task of doing all of this because the PI usually just signs it. You may or may not get the task of doing the contract and budget. It's usually rare that a coordinator will be asked to do the contract and budget, but that's also part of the study startup process. So you can't start the clinical trial. Even if all your regulatory stuff is done and approved, you can't start a clinical trial if you don't have an agreed upon clinical trial agreement, a CTA, and a budget. So you have that. Those are usually kept in a separate binder because the FDA can look at everything in the reg binder, but they do not have to look at the budgets and contracts unless you put the budgets and contracts in the regulatory binder. So my recommendation is don't put them in there. You don't want the FDA to look at anything else that they have to look at. All right. So, and then you asked the question about recruitment. Look, on my blog, I've got a page dedicated to recruitment and probably like a 30 to 40 minute video. So just go to my blog and look at patient recruitment / patient recruitment services. I have like a book, literally a book that I wrote, how to recruit clinical trial study participants, that you can read for free on there. It's also $2.99 on Kindle. It's a little nicer format, but you can read it for free on the blog if you can't afford $2.99, and you can also watch my video. It's like 30 minutes. Hopefully this and that helps you out. Let me know if you have any other questions, and keep these questions coming. Dan at theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.